Mourning period for the late 6th Republican President, Edgar Lungu, has been extended by 9 days. Secretary to Cabinet, Patrick K. Kangwa, has announced that the extension begins from the 15th of June to 23rd of this month. On Sunday interview this evening, I host President of the Economic Front Party, Mr. Winter Kabimba, who served with the 6th President under the Patriotic Front. Remember, you'll have a chance to call in on 25 30 25 or send a message via our Facebook page. Good evening, sir.
Thank you.
Good to have you.
Thank you.
Okay. It's a very sad moment, this one. And I imagine that there are mixed emotions that you might be having. And I wonder how easy or difficult it is for you to talk about the late president.
Yeah, frankly, it's difficult when you have lost someone that you interacted with and you knew for many years. I first met ECL at the university in 1979 in the law school. So I've known him from that period up to now, which is a period of about maybe 30 years. So to see him depart at this moment, you know, when in my view, he's still a young man. He was still a young man. You know, those of us who are in the mid 60s and towards the late 60s, we are still young men. We still have a lot to do and to offer to this nation and beyond this nation to the world. So I think to see him go at this stage, that this country is in a state of mourning, that ECO is no more, it's a very sad moment.
You seem to have, you have a bit of, I don't know, background or similar, you know, coming from.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that.
Okay. If you read my message of condolences, I highlighted two things in there. And the first thing that I said was that ECO and I shared very similar background. We came from humble backgrounds. Maybe at the time when we went to the university, I don't think each one of us had more than 2 pairs of trousers. And I think not more than 3 shirts. I don't think I had more than 3 shirts when I was when I went to the university in 1978. So that background, I think we shared. The second thing that we shared, coming from that background again, is our academic performance. We performed very well. So that again was something that him and I shared in common. And we graduated the same day. The other thing that we seemed to share in common was our sense for public duty, for public service. Because when we left the university in 1981, ECO went on to join the legal aid department. That was his first employer. In other words, the government of the Republic of Zambia. I went on to join Lusaka City Council, the local government service. So we both didn't go into parastatals. It was very attractive at that time to go into Indeco, you know, to go into Zimuco. He went into Zimuco later, but his first employer was the government of the Republic of Zambia, the Department of Legal Aid. I worked for the local government service for 15 years until I decided to exit. So public service was something that we had in common. And so we went our own ways, and much later we met again in PF. When I joined PF in 2006, I found ECO there. He had already joined. He had already attempted an election as Member of Parliament for Chawama. So we continued to build our relationship in politics now And if you remember, his first appointment was that of deputy minister in the office of the vice president. I was appointed Minister of Justice. He was later promoted to Home Affairs Minister. And he then started acting as president, you know, when Mr. Sata traveled out of the country. So you can see that him and I have this background that we shared. And I think I knew ECL more than many people, you know, today, even in the Patriotic Front. I don't think there is anybody in the Patriotic Front who shares that kind of history and background with the ECL as much as I do.
You eventually left the PF.
Yes.
And there's some who attribute that to frustration within the PF. In fact, in the context of the late president as a member of the PF and yourself, one seemed to get favor over the other. You felt frustrated and you left. Is that
no? I didn't. No, I didn't get frustrated. I didn't get frustrated. I joined the PF because of Michael Sata and Guy Scott. In 2006, just before the elections, we had a meeting in my office with some of my colleagues that were members of the ZRP, the Zambia Republican Party, which was headed by B.Y. Mwila. We had a meeting in my office. And at that stage, it had become very clear that we would not continue as members of ZRP. So we met in my office one afternoon to decide where we should go. And some of my colleagues, and Silva Masebo was in that group, decided they would go to the MMD. I decided I'll go to PF. And the reason I gave was there's nobody I knew in the MMD, and I knew Michael Sata in PF, and I knew Guy Scott. So I said, I believe in playing politics with the people that I know, not strangers. So I said, you can go to MMD, I'll go to PF. It was at the time when PF had no prospects of ever winning an election in this country. Never. But I still decided that I was better off, I was comfortable in the company of Guy Scott and Michael Sata. So when Michael Sata died in October of 2014, I didn't see, and Guy Scott was no longer an active member or participant in PF. I didn't see who else I would actually play politics with in PF. So on the 14th of November 2014, I put in a letter of resignation, which I gave to Guy Scott, and I said, I'm out of PF.
Because
so it was not out of frustration. It's because both my colleagues, you know, that I'd followed in the party, were no longer there.
So was it about the party or the people in the party?
It was both.
Okay.
But primarily, it was about the people. The party on its own is nothing if you don't have people to interact with. So it was about the people, and secondly, the party as an organization.
Okay. Let's look at the past week. It's been back and forth, especially relating to parties agreeing on how to proceed with the funeral. And what are your thoughts about what has happened up to this point?
My thoughts in terms of what?
In terms of the progress that has been made.
Well, it is sad. It is sad, frankly, that we've reached this stage where, when everybody thought that this was a straightforward matter, that the body will come into the country, you know, as quickly as possible, that the period of national mourning, as declared by the president, would be complied with. Nothing has happened. And I'm not part of government, so I don't know what has been going on, apart from what I read in the social media. And what you pick from the social media is that there has been this back and forth, you know, the wishes of the family, the wishes of ECO himself, the departed. And it has been very difficult to knit things together, to figure out exactly what is going on. And that has made it very difficult, to a point where we have dispirited, you know, the grief of the people. So, you know, we have diluted that grief. You know, people have become fatigued, you know, because they don't understand what is going on. What is it that is a problem? Okay? What is the problem? Why isn't the body here? Why aren't we getting on with the burial? You know, and let the nation get over with this period of grief and move forward. So that I think is what has gripped everybody, and for many people, and I've been talking to many people during this period, they just do not understand what is going on.
Does it call for further conversation about whether or not there should be some explicit write-ups in the Constitution, or whatever form of, I don't know, direction? Because it would appear there's nothing explicit regarding how or what should be how it should be conducted, whether it's a former president or indeed a sitting president, but especially for former presidents.
Franklin, you are right. You know, a moment like this, a situation like this, does not have any written rules. What governs it are what in local government we call conventions, practices that have evolved over time. And practice may change slightly depending on the circumstances of the situation. Okay, so nothing is in writing, and I think that is one of the difficulties that we, you know, or that obtains now from the experience that we have had in this particular situation. But let's visit, you know, let's give it a historical visit a bit. Zambia has had 7 presidents since 1964. Of the 7, 6 have passed away. Or in current English, they call it pass on. You know, I come from the conservative English. 6 have passed away. Of the 6, 3 died out of the country. Okay? So we've got Levi Mwanawasa in August 2008. We got Levi Mwanawasa in 2008. Michael Sata in 2014. And now ECL in 2025. 3 died in the country. So we've got FTJ, we've got Arabi, and the KK. Of the 6, again, historically, 3 died during the time when their political parties were in power. So FTJ died when MMD was in power. Levi Mwanawasa died when MMD was in power. Michael Sata died when PF was in power. The other 3 died when their political parties were not in power. So KK died when UNIP was not in power. Arabi died when MMD was not in power. And ECL now dies when PF is not in power. Of the 6 funerals, the best organized funeral, where there was decency, order, and everything, was Arabi's funeral. in 2022. The most chaotic one, I regret to say, was Michael Satter's in 2014. It was chaos. HH was prevented from attending that funeral. I was prevented from attending that funeral because of the threats of violence and just the whole environment of anarchy and hooliganism that was obtaining and prevailing at the time. In 2021, KK dies in June of 2022. KK dies in June of 2022. HH was prevented from attending that funeral. He didn't mourn KK. Okay? He only came to preside over KK's memorial in 2022 when now he was in power. So, this situation which is obtaining now is not new at all. It's not new. There's been this culture of people not respecting the dead and attempting to use the dead to promote a political agenda. The only reason why HH was prevented from attending KK's funeral is because he was in the opposition, he was going to steal the limelight, or for whatever reason. So, we probably have reached a point where we must put rules in place. But you see, I've always argued, and I've always said this, that you can't legislate attitudes. Okay? Mm-hmm. The law is not intended to legislate morality. How you morally feel and must act in a situation does not require legislation. To allow another colleague in a moment of grief, in a situation of grief such as this one, to mourn in the manner that he believes that he should mourn, does not require any legislation. It requires good leadership, the good mindset of those that are in charge at a particular time. So we had, for example, in 2014, Michael Satter dies. The guys are in charge. And nobody of those that are in charge, nobody is able to look around and say, but where is Winter? Why is Winter not here? And Winter was a minister, you know, in our party, and he was the Secretary General of our party. And he was a good colleague of Michael Satter. Why isn't Winter here? Why is HH not here? He's a member of the opposition political party. Why aren't colleagues in the UPND here? Because we are mourning a president who was a president for everybody, including those that are in the UPND. Mm-hmm. Those that are in charge do not ask themselves those questions. If they do, they ask themselves wrong questions, or they entertain a wrong environment. So you have all these cadres standing around, you know, and you know, threatening violence, you know, and everybody is very comfortable about that. The only head of state, subject to correction, that came for Michael Satter's funeral was Robert Mugabe. And he delivered a speech. So, we can't argue that we are we are in this situation because there is no law, because there are no written rules. No. We are in this situation because when you have a passing on of a national leader like this, it seems to me that all of us develop different interests. It happens even at family level. Some people come to attend the funeral just to come and see how much did winter own, how much can I walk away with from, from this. People start even grabbing car keys, and putting in the pocket and say, me, I'll walk away with this car. Mm-hmm. Okay? So they don't come primarily to mourn. They come for material things. So even in this situation, it seems to me that there are different conflicting agendas. Now let me tell you this. Maybe this would help to explain the point I'm making. When Robert Mugabe died in 2019, after he had been ousted from power by his own political party, the wife said to ZANU-PF, my husband had left a wish that he must be buried next to his mother in the village. That's what Grace Mugabe said. There was a pulling and pushing between ZANU-PF and Grace Mugabe and some members of the family, because there is an unwritten rule in ZANU-PF that all Liberation War heroes shall be buried at the National Heroes Acre in Harare. There is a designated place for them. And Mugabe had a plot reserved. I remember when I went to attend the ZANU-PF Congress in 2013 on behalf of Mr. Sata, I remember Mugabe, standing up in that, in that conference hall and saying, I went for a photo exhibition before I came here, and I realized all my colleagues that were with me in the Chimurenga, in the revolution, are gone. I'm the only one surviving them, and I'm going to join them soon. So because of that pushing and pulling, ZANU-PF decided to back off. So Mugabe, or his wife, had a wish. They went and buried him in the village. 2 years later, there was a court order that President Mugabe be exhumed and he must be reburied at the Heroes Acre. And they had to comply with the court order. As we speak today, President Mugabe is buried at the National Heroes Acre in Harare. First incident or situation. The second one is this. When President Eduardo dos Santos of Angola died in 2022, he died in Lisbon. Sorry, in Barcelona in Spain. The family, led by his daughter Isabel, insisted that President dos Santos be buried either in Spain or in Portugal. And one of the reasons for that was Isabel had an Interpol warrant against her because she was wanted for corruption charges in Angola. And so she realized if the body goes to Angola, she will not attend the father's burial. So she insisted that President dos Santos should be buried in either Lisbon or in Spain. MPLA, the political party which had formed government, and that dos Santos served for over 30 years as president, insisted that dos Santos should be buried in Rwanda, in Angola. And to find a convergence point between the two parties, the state and the family, led by Isabel, the Angolan government waived the Interpol warrant of arrest against Isabel. And she was allowed to travel to Angola, attend the funeral of the father, which brought together the Angolans that that Dos Santos had saved for a period of over 50 years. After the funeral, the government allowed Isabel to travel out of the country and reinstated the Interpol warrant.
Well, that's interesting.
Okay?
So the point here then would appear, because in this country there was a sign that there could be future problems if you consider what was nearly, in fact, was attempted. It went to court for Dr. Kaunda.
Yes.
Where the family said he has to be buried at the farm.
Next to his wife.
Right.
Yes.
That seemed not to have moved this kind of conversation. Was that taking things for granted? This is not new, like you say.
Yeah.
Shouldn't there have been a conversation from that time that there's a problem here?
Well, look, we are often shy to discuss death. Okay. My father is 89 now, and he's beginning to err. He's ailing. If I said to my siblings, guys, let's sit down and figure out how we are going to bury, the old man, they all rise against him. Who told you he's dying? Who told you he's going to die? Even as it is obvious that the man has a limited period of time on the planet, on this planet Earth. So we are often timid and shy to discuss death. Look, the only thing that is certain between you and me is death. Life is not certain. I'm not sure that from here, tomorrow I'll wake up alive. Mm-hmm. I can't say for certain that next month I'll be alive. But one thing that I'm certain is that I shall die. That is certain. But I thought I should give the two examples, that happened in the region, not in Europe, not in America, but here in the region. Right.
And hold your thoughts, because now we're joined by callers, viewers who are part of this discussion. Would like to be part of it. We have Mr. Njovu calling from Chibombo. Please go ahead.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening to you.
Okay, yes, I'm Mr. Ernest Njovu from Chibombo. It's just
I know him, that people are able to appreciate my contribution to a conversation like this one. Is very encouraging.
Right. Yeah. He says, in fact, he suggests, he talks about your consistency. Truth of the matter is, you being a player in the political space, but before I ask my question, I'd like to go to Mushindamo, where Brian is trying to come in. Brian, please come in.
Hello?
Hello, good evening. Welcome to Sunday Interview, Brian. Please go ahead.
Yes, please. I would like also to appreciate the big man, Mr. Kabimba. Hello?
Yes, please, go ahead.
I can hear you.
Yes, I would like to appreciate the big man, Mr. Kabimba there. I think he has told us the history, that is what has happened to our president, past president, from our country and the other countries.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay. Yeah. So, again, similar. You were a critic of the late president. You, if just to puncture holes in some of those, should anybody see you differently because of that?
No. Look, perspectives are different, okay? And people's perceptions are different. People's conclusions about what you say would be different. The truth of the matter is this. I've given you the background about the relationship between ECO and myself. what I can tell you is that I didn't criticize him. I thought that I was telling him what I thought he would do right. Okay? I thought that he had the capacity to do what was right. He had the moral code to do what I thought was right in the interest of the country and in his own interest. Okay? Now let me tell you this, and I want to say this, people may not know this, that I had a relationship with ECL when he was president. I never went to State House. I went to Nkwazi House in 2021. For the period that ECL was in Nkwazi House as a president in the State House, I never went to State House. Anybody that is going to tell you that they saw me at the State House, they'll be lying to you. But I was able to interact with him. Okay? When he had problems sometimes, even with his own family members, if he sent them to me, he referred them to me for counsel. Okay? When he was embroiled in that saga, if you remember, about the plot in Swaziland, I called him. I told him, Mwana, give up this plot. Why are you allowing your name to be dragged in the mud for a Kama plot in Swaziland? Give it up. You can get a plot here. You probably have plots here in Zambia. Stop this. You know what he said? Namvera Mwana. And that thing died down. Okay? But he also knew my character and my values. That where he is wrong, I'll tell him, this, you are wrong. I didn't agree with him for promoting hooliganism in PF, for putting PF on the autopilot where thuggery was beginning to reign. And even when I met him in April of 2021, just before elections at Nkwazi House, there were two of us. I told him, one of the things that may bring you down is the indiscipline that you have allowed to thrive in PF. I told him. So, frankly, what I say in public, you must know that I've said it in private, even to the person that is involved. That's my way of dealing with people in life. I will not say anything about you publicly or to anybody else unless I've said it to you. So if that's what you mean by having been a critic, then yes, I was. But I thought that I was a good critic to a friend.
Right. One of the statements you've made in your various conversations is that as Zambians, there's a lot of fear for the truth, for stating it as
it is.
As it is.
Yes.
What's your interpretation of the current happenings regarding this funeral?
Well, look, what is clearly at stake, in my view, with what I've seen in the last is this. One, there's politics at play. Very clear. I can amplify on that later. Two, there is, I think, a misrepresentation of ECL's character. What he believed in and what he was. I don't believe myself that ECL would have said that if he died today, he doesn't want HH anywhere near his funeral. I can't believe that. I don't think that would be true. I don't think that it reflects ECL's character. I had many meetings with ECL after he lost power to HH. A number of meetings at his house. He complained about HH. He complained that his family was being persecuted. He whined about the way his family was being handled and himself. But I can tell you frankly, and I can swear to the living Lord, that reading ECL's body language and even listening to him, I didn't see the hate in his language, in his face against HH that is being depicted today when he is no more. So for anybody to say that they are doing what they are doing, whether as family or as family representatives or as PF, because that would be the wish of ECL, I refuse. That it cannot be true. It can't be true. There must be something else that people are not able to say. And they are not able to say it because they know it is wrong.
Well, let me bring in another caller. This is Sunday interview. We have Anusa from Mporokoso. Anusa, please go ahead.
Yes, good evening, Mr. President.
Good evening, thank you.
Thank you so much. We are glad that maybe such a thing has happened at this time, so that maybe as a country we learn something going forward. I think, like you said earlier on, we never saw such a thing happening, but today we are undergoing through this, so that maybe we have a starting point of maybe preparing maybe other things to come in future. Well, it's really unfortunate. The world is watching. Everyone is watching to see how this thing is being handled. And basically, I think you being leaders, being elders, or maybe who have had experience in governance issues, I'm sure this is the time now you need to rise to the occasion together with the church to make sure that maybe some of these issues don't grow out of proportion and we learn something from the experience. I think that's the call that maybe we should, a person I can give to say maybe leaders, political leaders, church leaders, non-organization leaders, and everyone come on board so that maybe some sort of preparation are done so that in the near future we might not have, we might not be on the spotlight being quoted in different media as Zambia experiencing such a thing. Maybe that's my contribution. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thanks for coming through. Your comment.
I think the issue, Franklin, of unity, of focusing into the future and correcting, where we tumble is very important. And as Zambians, we must always continue to come together in the spirit of constructing a better society for tomorrow. Because all of us are shareholders in this country. And all of us at one point or another shall leave this country to future generations. So we owe it not only to ourselves, but to those that we are going to bequeath this country to, those that we are going to bequeath the future to, that they find a better place. They find a better atmosphere within which to thrive economically and prosper than what we live in today. So I think it is important for Zambians, but to do that, we must cultivate the correct values, whether in church or outside church. Look, I've said this before, and I hear people like my brother here saying, we need the church, yes, we all need the church. But people are not good because they go to church. No. And people are not bad because they don't go to church. No. People are good because they have decided, I shall be good. I shall treat the other human beings as human beings. I shall respect human beings as human beings, not because they go to church. And people are bad because they've just decided they'll be bad. So to think that all solutions are found in the church is not right. There are many people that I know that go to church that are bad people, even in my own family. They are bad people, bad-hearted, but they don't miss church, whether on Saturday or on Sunday. They don't miss church. So I have this philosophy, that To be good, I don't need to be in church. In fact, I tell my wife, I go to church to thank God for what he has done to me, not to take problems to him. I think he has too many problems. I go to church on Sunday to go and thank God that I'm still alive, that my family is still alive, that my friends are still alive. God bless them. I don't go there to complain about my wife or my brother. That's not what I think my relationship with God should be. So, when you have a situation like this, you ought to make it easy for everybody to participate. You can't have a funeral which is exclusive. That's not a funeral in Africa. In Africa, we walk in the compounds, even in the village. You find people are mourning. You know, wacha yakona, wenda wankala. Pepani, Pepani, Nobody will say, what are you doing here? What are these wishes that we hear today, that these are the wishes from the family? HH should not receive the body. HH should not be anywhere near the funeral, near the funeral. HH should... What a funeral is this? What a funeral is this? Is this a wedding? This is a funeral. All of us are entitled to grieve, to attend, the last part of ECL's journey. Whatever we thought about him, however we thought about him. And I don't think it is right for anybody to speak, whether in the name of the family, or in the name of PF, or in the name of whatever, that others should be excluded from this family of mourners. HH is head of state, for God's sake. You know what he does? He represents everybody in this country. The fellows in Shangombo that will not be able to travel to attend the funeral are represented by HH as head of state. Those that are in Chadiza and are not able to travel, those that are in Mansa and are not able to travel, their chief representative at this funeral is HH as head of state. Not because he wants to, but he has a core of duty. Right.
There's a last caller who wants to come in. Maybe one of the few callers I have time for. This one is from Lumezi. Peter Gondwe, I'm meant to believe. Please go ahead, Peter.
Thank you very much, Franklin, and please, my appreciation to Winter after a long time. I am happy this program has brought on board someone that is talking about what we are supposed to do as Zambians at this time, that we are in a mourning period. And let me also appreciate, just as others did earlier, the efforts of the government and the family of our late President, Edgar Chagwa. This was really something that was keeping us waiting for a long time. We appreciate that it has been resolved and there is a route map now to whatever is going to take place. I would like to just say that, yes, we have Winter giving us all the hints, necessary hints as Zambians, that we have to embrace each other as one. But looking at the current situation, let me go back to the last interview that our Foreign Affairs Minister Haimbe had with one of the media stations, where he said, I am not going to make any comment as regards what we are supposed to do and what we are not supposed to do, other than let us have our concentration on mourning, and after burial, that's when we are going to bring on board the issues. Now, from this interview, my observation, so far what I've heard from Mr. Winter Kabimba is that he's trying to tell people that there is some mishandling of issues somewhere, which is not good. What I am trying to say is, yes, the family of the late ECL might have said, this is what the late president wanted. for his funeral, and this is not what he wanted. But this is not in our constitution, so we still have to blame our constitution. We have such things written, well stipulated, that what happens when the head of state dies, what happens when the former head of state dies. Other than that, people will keep on having their personal opinions to just bring in whatever is of their preference other than the law that we are supposed to follow.
Right.
So for now what I can say...
Right. Well, thank you. We're going to accommodate other. I think the point is quite made. Unless you want to respond to that, it's
go ahead.
Quite straightforward, and we thank the caller.
Yeah.
When President Jimmy Carter died, one of the standout images was to see the incumbent president of the United States sitting and chatting with former President Barack Obama, and these are political rivals.
Yes.
Do you see that imagery playing out in this situation? You had President Trump, you had President Obama, and it attracted everybody's attention that they were chatting away when it's the background to their relationship in the political sense was well known. Do you see that playing out in our situation?
If I listened well and I understood well, and my interpretation of this evening's press briefing that you aired even after the news, you know, or is there anything to go by? I don't see that. Because in that press briefing, according to the program, HH is not supposed to be at the airport on Wednesday when the body is landing. The people that will be there are family members, but there will be military honors at the airport, but to the exclusion of the commander-in-chief of those army officers that will be doing the honors. The other thing that I picked from the interview, unless somebody can correct me, is that the people to speak at whatever gathering shall be decided upon between the state, between the government and the family. Okay? Now, it sounds like that is still a subject of discussion. So, Secretary to the Cabinet will go to the family and say, this is the list of the people that are to speak, and the family would say, no, we don't want this one, okay, unless it is this one, and that kind of thing. That's what I meant by saying this is a funeral which we are trying to administer, to manage, by excluding others even when they should be included. And I honestly, personally think that is not the way to go about mourning somebody at the level of the head of state. And I don't think that you need any rules, whether in the Constitution or any subsidiary legislation, to see that that is not the correct way of doing it. So, what then are you trying to achieve? There will be heads of state that will come, and there is a church service on Sunday at the Lungu International Conference Center. What is the problem with telling us that the president to be there is the one, you know, because these are colleagues. And these are people that are not coming because of ECO alone. They are coming to mourn with the Zambian people. That's why they are coming. And I do not think myself, I don't know the list, but I don't think myself that there is any head of state in this region and beyond that ECL knew before he became president. So he knew them when he got the mandate of the Zambian people to lead this country, and he was able to interact with them. Some of them he forged a personal friendship. Some of them they left the friendship at as the president level. So they are traveling. One, because they have lost a colleague. Two, because they have to commiserate with another colleague that they are working with now. Three, because we are Africans and Zambia is in mourning. The Zambian people are in mourning. So if this is the correct perspective, you can't, frankly, start segmenting who should be there and who should not be there, and put compartments, you know, as who should be in this group and who should be at this gathering. I appeal and plead with ECL's family to change this spirit in these coming few days and make this funeral a national funeral. The way they're trying to do it is not national. They may have their own views of, you know, about it, but what I find disappointing is when you say these are the wishes of John McCain. I don't know if you remember Senator John McCain in the United States.
Oh, I'll come back to John McCain.
Okay.
Because we've got Trofina from Kabwe. Trofina, go ahead.
Yes, good evening.
Good evening to you, Trofina.
Yeah, I want to appreciate Mr. Kabimba, the way he's coming out in the articulating issues concerning the funeral. I really got something from him, and it's my prayer that may the Lord give him long life so that he'll be there to guide us in times such as this. Because the way he has put on, I've learned a lot of things from him. For this, I say thank you to him and the panel to bring out this program so that everybody is able to follow it nicely with the history which it requires.
Thank you so much. Right, another compliment. But you're on Senator McCain.
I was on Senator McCain. I said I'm dealing with this issue of wishes.
Right.
Okay. John McCain is rival, not even rival, enemy in the U.S. politics of Donald Trump. And if you remember when he was dying, towards the end of his life, he made a wish and said he didn't want Donald Trump to attend his funeral when he dies. John McCain died, Donald Trump didn't attend that funeral. Because McCain said it publicly. It's different from Jimmy Carter, the funeral that you alluded to. So, I want to go back to this point, you know, of appeal. One of the meetings that I had with the ECL, Vaesta was seated there. There were three of us, ECL, Vaesta, and myself. Okay? And I'm saying this so that people don't think that I'm a stranger to ECL's character and the integrity. Okay? But, you know, I am a witness to that guy's character. And I don't think that what is being said today could come from him.
What if you were wrong in your thoughts?
It is possible. It is possible. You know, I've always said this, you know, frankly, that I always have an opinion, but I don't think that my view is always the best. Okay? So I take time sometimes to talk to myself. I do a devil's advocate in my, but I'm canvassing this situation because I'm talking about a man I knew very well. It's like the way they excluded me from Michael Sata's funeral. I don't think that is would have been Michael Sata's wish. Never. Okay? I stayed away from Michael Sata's 2 memorials. That's by way of a digression. For 2 years, I didn't attend Mr. Sata's memorials until the wife phoned me and pleaded with me for the 3rd one and said, you must come and attend this funeral, this memorial, and I would like you, we have decided as a family that you must speak. Because I knew the man. I want to go back to this. I knew ECL more than anybody else that is talking about ECL today. More than anybody else. And I want somebody to challenge me there. There will be nobody who can challenge me. So my plea is this. Let's give the man a dignified burial and send off until we meet him again. Is that a very difficult thing to do? No. Those that want to use this funeral as a launchpad for their political careers, if you think your launchpad must be a dead person, then it means you have nothing to say to the Zambian people. Ulibenkani yo kamba. So you just want to stoke the emotions of Zambians about the ECL's death. If you're a proper politician, allow us to bury ECL. Let's go and meet in the field, and you tell the Zambian people what you are and what you can do. And we also shall tell the Zambian people who you are and what you are. What's it? Don't hold the ECL hostage. No. So there's politics here at play. Don't forget that there is a vacancy now for the presidency in the PF, which ECL held. So people are jumping about to position themselves. And the easiest way of doing it is to stoke people's emotions now.
Well, we don't know that for a fact.
I'm interpreting it as a politician.
Okay, understood. Yes. Let's bring in another caller. Chenda, you're calling in from Lusaka. Chenda, please go ahead.
Yes, please. Good evening, presenter.
Evening to you.
Good evening, thank you.
Good evening, President Winter Kabimba.
Good evening, sir. Thank you.
Yes, please. I appreciate your contribution and how you are trying to articulate the issues. And I feel this is timely, and at the same time, how I wish this council was brought in, because I can think that somehow, somewhere, there was something which was looming, though it couldn't just come out. Now that we have a funeral, we have lost a life, this is now, people's reactions have come out. So, as someone trying to put it, how I would appreciate if maybe after this morning, we might come together and start to engage each and everyone so that we try to settle down such differences so that we come back to the real one Zambia, one nation. I'm glad that we still have people, elderly, who are there to guide we young ones, because in most cases, it is we young ones who are trying to maybe blow things the way they are not supposed to be. I appreciate your counsel.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming. During at funerals, and you made reference to this, the emotions fly around.
Yes.
There are many reasons for those emotions to as they happen. And that's where people will say, don't really pay attention to someone's emotion when they are grieved. They are in anger, or they are a sense of loss, and so on. Having said that, what message then goes out to manage emotions that may prevail because of perhaps what has been read, what has been said, and so on? How do you address this? Because it's not a simple matter. There are people that feel that they have to express anger, emotion, blame, and so on. How do you make them calm?
Look, emotions are part of mourning. You can't mourn without being emotionally engaged or involved. But you also, at the same time, must plan for the funeral and how it shall. You have heard people at a funeral say, imwe na imwe osalira so ndimwe wamuna imwe. Osalira monga bakazi. The point they make is, look, if you are going to continue being emotionally involved, at what time are you going to sit down and start thinking how to put this person to rest? So manage, regulate your emotions. Okay? So the point I'm making, Franklin, is that if you are going to sit down and say, this is a national funeral, but this one should not come, this one should not come, this one should not come, that's no longer emotion. That's a deliberate scheme. It's a designed scheme. You have thought through it. Okay? For you to say the president should not meet the body, that's not an emotion.